Morning. Still tired, but I did get a lot more sleep. I did get like 7.5 hours instead of 3.5. Um, but isn't it interesting how when you don't have enough sleep, your voice is very croaky? There's a little bit to that where when you're tired and your voice is tired, the truth that is coming out of your voice is skewed. I'm doing readings and I'm channeling messages, and I'm trying to channel messages, or I'm channeling messages from, spirit or the council or whatever it is. When those messages come through, and when I can be a clear vessel and a clear channel, then the voice is smooth. When the voice has this rough, edgy quality to it, the sexy bedroom voice, things are kind of coming through a different filter. They're coming through my own filter. And there's more of my biases in that message. There's always going to be some bias because how I interpret those messages coming through have to filter through my past experiences and my knowledge and all that jazz. However, when I am tired, or if the medium or the intuitive you are going to is tired, there's going to be more of that influence in there. And it's not to say that the reading is bad, because whatever messages are coming through are generally, the messages coming through are coming through for a reason. But whether they're coming through for the client or whether those messages are coming through for the practitioner themselves, that's another question. And if the practitioner or the reader is open enough to recognize that the message that they're reading is actually more for them than it is for the other person. So that being said, last week I recorded the weekly forecast on Tuesday, and I never got around to editing it, and I never ended up posting it. I have this feeling that the weekly forecasts, the way that I've been doing them, is going to shift, and it's going to change. And then with everything that has been downloading with me this last week was a really, really big week. Like, it's now been almost 2 weeks since I've posted something to YouTube for you guys to watch or to give you guys an update. And a lot has happened in those 2 weeks. And since I am tired today, I feel like if I were to pull cards right at this moment and try to forecast something, the message wouldn't be for the collective or for the people that are watching. The message would be for me specifically. And I don't need to be selfish. So I'm not going to. I would rather just come on here, give you guys an update with what's been going on, and more of not a lesson or a how-to, but maybe like, how do I take periods in my life like this and really integrate them into my everyday? How am I listening to my body or my mind or my intuition to help lead and guide me on my journey? Whether it's, taking the right step or whether I'm misstepping, how is that, how do I do it? And not that I do it perfectly, because that is not where I'm going here. So on that note, over the weekend, I had some family over, which was way long overdue, and we did a lot of yard work. And so when you have family over, typically everything revolves around food, and that was no different this weekend. We had Friday night, I made like homemade burgers, and I had made fresh buns, and oh my god, they were so delicious. Normally, you buy the frozen hamburger patties, you buy the bag of buns at the bakery or at the grocery store, and we had fresh vegetables, so I cut up some fresh vegetables, and and I made bacon wrapped asparagus because I had a lot of asparagus. And it was kind of cute because my mom's like, I would have had like burgers and veggies too, but how I would have done it was I would have gone to the store, and then I would have bought like the already done up like vegetable wheel, and boom, bang, done, complete. And you can do, like, there's nothing wrong with doing that. However, I'm trying to talk about integration and really taking everything that I'm learning and downloading and intuition, and it's not really learning, but it's embodying, because all this knowledge that comes through is stuff I know already. because it's inside of me. It's not like I'm learning it outside of me. I'm learning it inside of me. So when even a simple meal as, cheeseburgers and fresh veg, there's the easy way. I would say, well, I don't want to say that because that sounds judgmental, and I don't want to be judgmental. There is a way where you could maybe reduce the stress and the anxiety around feeding a crowd and going to the grocery store and going that road. Or you take that love and you take the knowledge and you take the essence of everything that you are, and you put that into the food that is going to be consumed by your family. And it's that love, and it's that knowledge, and it's everything. It's that essence. It's that essence of who you are right now, in this time, in this space. And it is an offering. You are sharing it, and it becomes an offering to those that you most care about, that are near and dear to your heart. And there's something really beautiful about that. And even though it was the kind of last minute that we ended up doing all this yard work, because we live in a small town. There is one rototiller attachment for skid steer that you can rent in town. And when I went and picked up parcels on Thursday, I asked if it was available, and it finally was. So I told my husband, and he took Friday off just so he could get a start on preparing our yard. We had plans on redoing our garden this year. We had a bunch of new dirt delivered, but the garden spot wasn't ready for the dirt, so that all had to be rototilled. And then when we first built and moved into this house 3 years ago, we managed to put some sod down right around the house, and I'm very grateful for that, because that has really helped with mud in the spring and the fall. But we have all this other land that needs to be planted to grass seed, and so that's what we did this weekend. We still have lots of work to do. It's not all complete. This land was raw when we moved here. So if you can imagine, where we're planting the seed right now was once a bunch of trees. So of course, when you're working up the land, there's going to be a ton of roots. There's going to be a ton of rocks. And so he worked it. We picked rocks and roots. He would drag it. We would pick rocks and roots again. Then, we decided to rake it all, because we have a high clay content here. So there was quite a few really just hard clay lumps, and nothing likes to grow in that stuff. Do that again and drag it and pick some more rocks. And finally, last night, we got the seed down. And that's why I'm out here right now, because now I need to water my soil so the grass can grow. And if I set the sprinkler out and I think move it every 15 minutes, I should be done watering the lawn in like 2 hours. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And it was so great this weekend having family here, especially when it came to the garden. So when they came, the garden was nice and beautiful and ready to go. Since I'm getting a really late start on it, like I'm 3 weeks late getting the garden in. So really wanted to just plant things with like a shorter growing season. I had a bunch of potatoes from last year that had gone to seed downstairs in my cold room. So I have like over half the garden is potatoes, but I'm like, we might as well plant them, because why not? Otherwise those seed potatoes are going to waste, and I would rather see them do their thing. And I wasn't sure how much of the garden I would get planted, and I want to make sure that I'm working the garden so that I can keep the weeds and stuff down. And then my stepdad went to the greenhouse and got me some tomato plants. So I have 24 tomato plants. And I'm going to have to learn how to make salsa or something with them, because I am not sure if I can eat that many raw tomatoes before they go bad. And then when I was picking up grass seed yesterday, I picked up a few more seeds. So I did get a few rows of peas in, and some carrots and some lettuce, a few radishes and some scallions. And we'll kind of see how that goes. But next year now that it's here, the garden is here and it's workable, and I have this beautiful black dirt, I'm really excited for the future years to come. I still want to get some berries, so I want to get some strawberries, and then there's a spot in the yard that I'd like to put some raspberries. That is kind of my plan that I'd like to do. Anywho, me just rambling is taking a really long time. But when it comes to when it comes to that integration piece and being authentic. So those things are really important to me. Authenticity, integrity, and just being yourself, right? There were times this weekend I would have to say was one of my more relaxed weekends mentally in a very long time, as in the context of having guests and company. Yes, there was like the entertaining bits and cooking and everything, but that didn't stress me out like it normally does. Having the house perfectly clean didn't stress me out, and no, it wasn't perfectly clean. Not all the rooms were able to get decluttered. Even on my back deck here, you can see on the table, I had intentions of putting that crystal grid away, just to clear the space and in a sense not to have my witchy woo spirituality stuff out on display. But it didn't get put away, and it wasn't a big deal. It was really cute. Yesterday I was in the garden with the girls, and Mason was sitting by this table with Dean, and they were having a water break, and he says, Dad, I don't really understand what Mom does. Like, I don't understand like all this stuff with the crystals and everything else. And my husband Dean says to him, you know what, son, neither do I. And it's okay not to have an understanding. You don't need to understand everything. And if somebody does something different, is their beliefs are different, or the way they go about doing things is different. It's just different. There doesn't need to be any judgment around it. It's just different. And I think before there was more of I don't know, a fear. Yeah, a fear. There was a fear around my family, and not around my family, but around the perceived judgment that I thought my family may or may not have towards some of the stuff that I do or that I'm interested in. It never comes up, and even when I leave things out, it's a non-issue. It's not like it becomes a topic of conversation. That's not it. It just doesn't come up. They just know that's who I am, and I do things a little bit differently, and it's all good. It's all cool. It's beautiful. It's that acceptance piece again, and I think that radical acceptance has to come. I talked about this. I was going to talk about this. I had pre-recorded this. I recorded this last week, but it didn't get posted. There's this radical acceptance. And last week I was talking about kind of the radical acceptance of others and where they're at. What I'm realizing today is that radical acceptance has to start with you. It has to start with that self-acceptance, that self-radical acceptance, because when you accept yourself for who you truly are and where you are, and really embrace that and embrace that part of your journey, embrace the ups and the downs, embrace the mistakes, embrace the embarrassing moments, there's a sense of peace, there's a sense of calm, and others see that, and they don't try to change you. They don't try to convince you to come to their camp. They're open to listening and accept. And when you are sharing with others, when you are sharing your point of view, or maybe how you are seeing things, again, it's not about convincing them that you are right and therefore they are wrong. It's just about sharing your point of view, and again, to be open and accepting that it's through our differences that we come up with creative solutions to grow as a collective. Thank you for listening this long, and we will talk again soon. Which one? Just pick one card for Mama. Oh, do I get 2 cards? 2 cards flipped over? Okay. Then want to pass it to me? This one says innocent. It's a beloved one. Everyone is guiltless in truth, as no one can alter God's handiwork of perfection. Give us your feelings of heaviness so that we can lighten your load. Give us any guilt, anger, or blame that may shroud your loving outlook. Enjoy the peace within your heart once more. Which was the other one that had flipped over? This one?
No.
Huh?
It was this one.
This one? Assertiveness? The situation can be healed gently and with love as you've requested. There is also a need for your strength and truthfulness with other people involved. We will stand right behind you as you speak your truth, giving you strength and guiding your words. What was this one? Love it. Okay, ready? Thank you, Rory, for picking me a card. Time to put all the cards away now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.